Good morning students. So this is physics for class 11 students, chapter number 7, that is rotational motion, and lecture number 4. So today we'll be discussing the theorems of moment of inertia. Okay, and we have two theorems to calculate moment of inertia about different axes. First is called parallel axis theorem and second is called perpendicular axis theorem. Okay, so first of all let us discuss parallel axis theorem. Okay, so for that, suppose this is any rigid body. Okay, these are two axes AB and CD. So this axis CD is perpendicular to the plane of ring, or you can say perpendicular to the plane of this body and is passing through the center of mass. Okay, so this um, axis CD is perpendicular to the plane of body and is passing through center of mass of the body. This is another axis AB which is parallel to CD only. Okay, the distance between them is D and the mass of this body is capital M. Okay, now parallel axis theorem states moment of inertia of a rigid body about any axis AB, that is about this axis AB, is equal to moment of inertia of another of body about another axis CD passing through center of mass of the body in a direction parallel to AB plus product of M and square of distance between these two parallel axes, that is moment of inertia about any axis AB from this diagram will be equal to moment of inertia of any axis CD which is parallel to AB and passing through the center of the mass of the body, as you can see here. So that is I of AB is equals to I of CD. After that, the definition says plus product of M, that is product of mass of the body M, and square of distance between these two parallel axes. So the distance between these two parallel axes is D. So the product of capital M and D square. So this is the parallel axis theorem, that in this diagram IAB, that is moment of inertia about AB, would be equal to moment of inertia about CD plus mass of the body into D square, that is this. Okay, now let us look at the proof of this theorem. So see, there will be various masses in this body, right? So I am denoting the masses by Mi, and let us say their perpendicular distance from the axis CD is Ri. Okay, so now for the proof, first of all let us calculate ICD, that is moment of inertia about axis CD. And as you know, moment of inertia is defined as the product of mass and the square of perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation. So now look here, for this mass, moment of inertia about CD will be Mi into Ri square. So the moment of inertia is Mi Ri square, and this sign is called summation sign, and the meaning of this sign is addition, that is we are assuming that there are n particles in the body. So this I is varying from 1 to n, that is this means it is m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square and so on up to mn rn square. So this sign means this thing only. Okay, now similarly to calculate moment of inertia of the body about the axis AB, again look here, about the axis AB, for this the distance of Mi is Ri plus D. From AB the distance of Mi is Ri plus D. So therefore moment of inertia about AB will be summation I is equals to 1 to n Mi into D plus Ri whole square. Okay, so if I solve the square term, so it will be D plus Ri square will be, see, summation Mi Ri square, that is A square, plus summation Mi D square, that is B square, plus 2AB. So just I have opened the square terms and I have multiplied the summation with each term. Okay, so you will get this. Now if you compare this and this, so you can see this is nothing but moment of inertia about axis CD, and epsilon Mi, that is this is not, if you see this term only, this is nothing but total mass of the body, because see this implies that m1 plus m2 plus m3 up to mn, and if there are n particles in the body, that means the sum of all the masses of the bodies will be equal to the mass of the particular bigger body only. So this is equal to capital M only. So just put this equal to moment of inertia of CD and this to be capital M. And from here we will be taking 2D to be outside, because see, we does not have I in these two. So we will be taking them out of the summation. So that will become IAB is equals to I of CD plus capital M D square plus 2D is taken outside, epsilon I, this will be I, okay, I equal to 1 to N MI/RI. Okay, now see, body is always balanced at center of mass. So that means algebraic sum of moment of weight about an axis passing through center of mass is also 0, because the body is balanced. Therefore, you can write, see, I am talking about moment of weight, that is mg. So we can write epsilon I equal to 1 to N moment of weight, that is mig into Ri is equals to 0. G can be taken outside again, or you can say directly G can never be 0. Obviously this is we are talking on earth, we have a value of G that is 9.8 meter per second. So G is not 0. That means epsilon MIRI is equals to 0. If you look in this, that means this is 0. So that means you will get IAB is equals to I of CD plus MD square. Okay, so this is the proof of parallel axis theorem. Okay, so the second is perpendicular axis theorem. Okay, so for that, look at this diagram first. So again, we have considered a rigid body. We have taken three axes, that is OX, OY and OZ. OX and OY are in the plane of the body, and OZ is the axis which is perpendicular to the body. Okay. Similarly, again I am taking the mass MI, which is at a distance RI from the origin. So you can say for x-axis its distance is xi, and for y-axis its distance is yi. Okay. So now what perpendicular axis theorem says, it says that moment of inertia about any axis OZ, that is this axis, okay, which is perpendicular to the plane of body. This axis is perpendicular to the plane of body. So moment of inertia about any axis OZ which is perpendicular to the plane of body is equal to sum of moment of inertias of the body about any two mutually perpendicular axes OX and OY which are in the plane of body and meeting at a point where the given axis OZ passes through. That is, moment of inertia about any axis OZ which is perpendicular to the body is equals to sum of these two axes, that is OX and OY, which are parallel to the body. See, these axes are parallel to the body and they should be meeting at a point from where the OZ passes. Okay, so all the conditions given in this definition are satisfied for this. And one more thing, these two should be mutually perpendicular to each other as well. So as you can see, all the three should be mutually perpendicular to each other. OX and OY should pass through, should be parallel to the body. OZ should be perpendicular to the body. So we can say it as IOZ is equals to IOX plus IOY. Okay. Okay, so now again we will look at the proof of this theorem. Okay, so first of all, let us write moment of inertia about x-axis. For that, look here. See, this is your x-axis. As you know, moment of inertia is again mass, product of mass and perpendicular distance from the axis. So see, can you tell me for x-axis what will be the perpendicular distance of the mass? Obviously in y-axis that will be there because this mass is present in xy axis. If I am at x-axis, then this distance will be perpendicular distance for me. So this is nothing but yi. So ix will be equal to summation of I equal to 1 to N mi yi square. Mark it 1. Similarly, moment of inertia about y-axis will be equal to summation I equal to 1 to N mi xi square. Remember this, we are taking yi for x and xi for y because these are the perpendicular distance of the masses. Okay. Now if I talk about z-axis, that is iz. Again, because the mass in xy plane, so if you are at z-axis, then both the axes, that is x-axis as well as y-axis, is the perpendicular distance. So we have to take now ri for z-axis. Okay. So moment of inertia about z-axis would be epsilon summation I equal to 1 to n mi ri square. Okay. Now just add equation 1 and 2, that is ix plus iy. So ix plus iy will be this, that is mixi square plus miyi square. If I take summation mi to be common from these two, so you will be left with xi square plus yi square. Mark it, fourth equation. Okay. Now as you know, position vector is always written as xi cap plus yj cap. If I calculate its magnitude, this you also know, this will be under root x square plus y square. This implies r is equals to x square plus y square. Or if I am taking xi square plus yi square, that means this is ri. So just put here, so ix plus iy will be summation I equal to 1 to n mi ri square. Okay, sorry, this will be square. Okay, we are squaring this term, right? So this will be mi ri square. Okay, so from here, if you compare to your equation third, this is nothing but iz. So that means iz is equals to ix plus iy. So this is the proof of perpendicular axis theorem. Both the theorems are very important, so understand them properly, parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem. Okay, so now let us discuss some applications of these theorems. Okay, so before coming to application, I want to tell you a method which we will be following in the applications. Okay, so first is, so the first step is, consider a small element. Whichever body is given to you, first of all you have to consider a small element. Then we will find out moment of inertia due to that small element, and then we will integrate that moment of inertia to get total moment of inertia due to body. Okay, so we will be calculating moment of inertia of a body in 3 steps. First, we will consider a small element. Second step, we will be calculating moment of inertia due to that small element. And third, then we will integrate that moment of inertia to get moment of inertia of the whole body. So now look at the applications. The first application is moment of inertia for a thin circular ring. Okay, so in this we will be having many parts. So for ring, the first part A is, we want to calculate moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the plane of ring and passing through the center. Okay, so suppose this is a ring. AB axis is perpendicular to the plane of the ring and it is passing through its center, and the radius of this ring is r. Okay, so now as I told you the 3 steps. So first step is to choose a small element. So I have just chosen a small element here called dx. Okay, so now second step was to calculate moment of inertia due to this small element. So to calculate moment of inertia due to dx, first of all we have to calculate the mass of dx. So now how we will calculate mass of dx? We will be using unitary method. Okay, suppose the mass of this ring is m. Okay, so from here you can say for this mass m is for 2 pi r length, because circumference would be 2 pi r. So 2 pi r has a mass of 2 pi r length has a mass of capital M. So from here mass per unit length will come to be m upon 2 pi r. So this is the mass of unit length. So now you can easily calculate mass of dx length. So that will be, so mass of dx element will be mass per unit length into dx. Okay, so now we will proceed to our second step, that is moment of inertia about the axis AB due to dx element. So that is mass of dx element, that is this, and r square. Okay, capital R square, because r is the radius of the ring. So when you so this r will cancel out, so it will be mr dx upon 2 pi. Now come to the third step, that is integration of this moment of inertia to get total moment of inertia due to ring. So we will just integrate this, that is mr upon 2 pi into dx, and we will be integrating from 0 to 2 pi r, because this is our circumference, right? So now all of you know how to do integration. mr upon 2 pi is constant, it will come outside. Integration of dx from 0 to 2 pi r will be 2 pi r. So 2 pi will cancel out, so I will come to be mr square, that is moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the plane of the ring and passing through its center is mr square. Okay, so second case for the ring is moment of inertia about any diameter of the ring. Now for calculating this, we will use perpendicular axis theorem, okay, and you will be seeing that it will come, see, as you can see, it will be coming in 2 steps only. So now look here how we can do that. See, okay, so I have drawn here 2 diagrams. So this is the diagram which is the side view, and this is the diagram which is upper view of the ring. Okay, so from the side, as you can see, this is the ring of radius r, same, okay, and this axis is perpendicular to the plane and passing through the center, and we have just calculated about moment of inertia about this axis, which has come to be mr square. Now look at this diagram. This is the upper view of the disc. So these two are the diameters of the ring. Okay. Now if you remember perpendicular axis theorem, that says IAB, that is IAB will be equal to, now see, what was perpendicular axis theorem? Moment of inertia about any axis perpendicular to the body will be equal to sum of moment of inertias of two axes which are mutually perpendicular. See, these diameters are mutually perpendicular to each other, and they are meeting at a point from where this axis will pass. So that means all these 3 axes are also mutually perpendicular to each other. So therefore we can write IAB is equals to ID plus ID. ID means moment of inertia about this diameter and moment of inertia about this diameter. Obviously both are diameters, so moment of inertia will remain same for both of them. So when you, as we have just calculated, IAB is mr square is equals to 2ID. So from here, moment of inertia about any diameter of the ring will come to be mr square upon 2. So see how easily we can calculate by using perpendicular axis theorem. Okay, let us take one more case for the ring, third C part, which is moment of inertia about any tangent perpendicular to the plane of ring. That is, this is a ring and we have to calculate moment of inertia about this axis CD, which is perpendicular to the plane of ring. So now in this case you can use parallel axis theorem, and parallel axis theorem says I about CD is equals to I about AB plus the mass of the body, that is capital M, and the square of distance between the two parallel axes, that is r square. So IAB, as we have already calculated in A part, is mr square plus mr square. So ICD will come to be 2mr square. So this is the moment of inertia about CD. Okay. Now let us calculate for another body, moment of inertia for a uniform circular disc. Okay, so the first part is for about an axis perpendicular to the plane of disc and passing through the center. Okay. So let us suppose this AB is perpendicular to the plane of ring and it is passing through the center. Okay. Now again we have to follow those 3 steps. First step was to choose an element. See, because this is a disc. For example, you have seen a plate, that is also a disc. So in this disc we will be considering an element to be a ring. So I have chosen a ring as an element whose radius is x and thickness is dx. Let us suppose the mass of this disc is capital M and the radius of the disc is capital R. Okay. So again, now we will be calculating first moment of inertia due to this ring, and to calculate that, first of all we need the mass of this ring. Okay. So now see, the area of the disc is pi r square and mass is m. So you can say mass per unit area of the disc is m upon pi r square. So therefore area of element ring. Now see, area is nothing but its circumference into its thickness. So its circumference is 2 pi x and thickness is dx. So this is the area of element ring. Okay. So now you can easily calculate mass of the ring, that is mass per unit area of the disc into area of the element ring. So this will be the mass of ring. So when you will solve it, you will get 2mx upon r square dx. Okay. So this is just unitary method. Okay. So it will be this. Now second step is to calculate moment of inertia due to this ring. So moment of inertia due to this ring will be mass of the ring into x square, because x is the distance. Okay. Now we will just integrate it and the limits will be from, see, we have to integrate x. So can you tell me what will be the limits of x from 0 to r? Okay, so just integrate it from 0 to capital R. So we have just integrated it. So when you will, so see, 2m upon r square is constant integration of x cube dx will be x to the power 4 upon 4 and limits are from 0 to r. So just put the limits, you will get the moment of inertia about AB to be mr square by 2. Okay, now second is to calculate moment of inertia about any diameter of the ring. So again, as we did for ring, this will be for disk because we are discussing disk. Okay, so as you did in the case of the ring, same we will be doing here. So we will be using perpendicular axis theorem again, because we know moment of inertia about AB for the disk, so we can easily calculate for these two diameters. So again, IAB will be equal to ID plus ID. IAB you have just calculated, that is mr square by 2 is equals to 2ID. So moment of inertia about any diameter of the disk will come to be mr square by 4. Okay, so next is moment of inertia about an axis passing through center of a rod and perpendicular to it. Okay, so this is a rod of length L and mass m, and we have to calculate moment of inertia about AB, which is perpendicular to the rod and is passing through the center of rod. So again we will be following those three steps. First of all, we have to choose an element. Let us choose an element dx, which is at a distance x from AB. Okay, so now mass per unit length of the rod will be m by L. Okay, so the mass of dx element will be m by L into dx, just unitary method again. Okay, so now moment of inertia due to this element will be mass of this element m by L dx into x square. Okay, now to calculate total moment of inertia, again we will be integrating this, that is integration of m by L x square dx. Now what will be the limit? See, the rod has a length L. So if we are considering this to be origin, so this will be minus L by 2 and this will be plus L by 2. So the limits are from minus L by 2 to plus L by 2. Okay. So now again m by L is constant and integration of x square dx will be x to the power 3 upon 3. Just put the limits, you will get the answer to be ml square by 12. So this is the moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the rod and passing through its center. Now let us take one more case for the rod. That is moment of inertia about an axis passing through extreme end of the rod and perpendicular to it. That is, now we want to calculate moment of inertia about this axis CD, which is again perpendicular to the rod and is passing through the extreme end. Okay, so now tell yourself which theorem can you use here, either parallel axis theorem or perpendicular axis theorem. As you know, we know about moment of inertia about this axis, we have just calculated in first part, and we know the distance between them also. So we can easily use parallel axis theorem here, which says moment of inertia about CD will be equal to moment of inertia about AB plus mass of the body, that is capital M, into square of this distance, that is L square by 4. Now moment of inertia about AB you have just calculated in first part, that is ml square by 12 plus ml square by 4. Just add them, you will get the moment of inertia about CD to be ml square by 3. Okay, so these were all the applications of your parallel and perpendicular axis theorem. Go through them properly. Okay, and after going through today's lecture, you can do question number 16, 23, 24 and 25 from your NCERT book. Thank you.